Good evening, I'm Linor Moudou. This is Africa 54. Vincent McCurry is off today. The landmark international nuclear deal with Iran has been reached, but skeptics abound, including members of the U.S. Congress. Most Republican lawmakers are strongly rejecting it as dangerous, and most Democrats say they are reserving judgment until they get a chance to study the details. VOA Cindy Saine has reaction from Capitol Hill.
As news from Vienna of an Obama administration-backed deal on Iran reverberated around the U.S. Capitol Tuesday, Republican leaders wasted no time in rejecting it. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
The Iranians appear to have prevailed in this negotiation, maintaining thousands of centrifuges, enriching their threshold nuclear capability instead of ending it, reaping a multi-billion-dollar windfall to spend freely on terrorism.
At a House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing on the implications of a deal, Chairman Ed Royce was skeptical.
The bet that the administration is taking is that in 10 or 15 years, we will have a kinder, gentler Iran.
After the hearing, former Undersecretary of State Nicholas Burns told VOA he supports the deal.
I also think we're better off trying to resolve this diplomatically, peacefully, than by using force.
Meanwhile, President Obama warned Congress not to try to kill the agreement.
So I will veto any legislation that prevents the successful implementation of this deal.
This, in turn, angered Republicans, including Congressman Chris Smith.
This is day one. He's already talking veto. If it's such a good deal, why not persuade Congress and, by extension, the American people about its contents? Instead, veto card goes right up.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton led the Democratic response.
This does put a lid on the nuclear program, but we still have a lot of concern about the bad behavior.
The House and Senate have 60 days, once the nuclear accord has been formally submitted to them, to approve it, reject it, or take no action. If they reject it, President Obama could then veto a congressional resolution of disapproval. It would then take a hard-to-get two-thirds majority in both chambers to override a presidential veto. Cindy Saine, VOA News on Capitol Hill.
Now, analysts say the nuclear deal reached between Iran and world powers could have long-lasting implications for both sides if it can be fully implemented. We get more from VOA State Department correspondent Pam Dockins.
As news from Vienna of an Obama administration-backed deal on Iran reverberated around the U.S. Capitol Tuesday, Republican leaders wasted no time in rejecting it. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
The Iranians appear to have prevailed in this negotiation, maintaining thousands of centrifuges, enriching their threshold nuclear capability instead of ending it, reaping a multi-billion-dollar windfall to spend freely on terrorism.
At a House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing on the implications of a deal, Chairman Ed Royce was skeptical.
The bet that the administration is taking is that in 10 or 15 years, we will have a kinder, gentler Iran.
After the hearing, former Undersecretary of State Nicholas Burns told VOA he supports the deal.
I also think we're better off trying to resolve this diplomatically, peacefully, than by using force.
Meanwhile, President Obama warned Congress not to try to kill the agreement.
So I will veto any legislation that prevents the successful implementation of this deal.
This, in turn, angered Republicans.
And following the announcement of the Iran nuclear deal, Africa 54 business correspondent Alexis Christoforous went down to the floor of the New York Stock Exchange to see how the deal was affecting the markets.
We didn't see a huge reaction in the oil markets after this historic deal was inked. Why do you think?
Well, truthfully, the market had already reacted in anticipation. Oil's been under pressure for the last few days, trading at a 51 handle on the West Texas Intermediate side, coming into the actual formal announcement. So what we actually saw was short covering against that procedure because we now realize that the oil is not going to be released till at least the end of the year, and even that will only be a trickle. The anticipation was there was going to be a huge dump into the marketplace. That's not going to happen. So you've actually seen oil rally.
When the Iranian oil does start to hit the market, are we going to start seeing price wars in the oil market, something we haven't seen in decades?
I hope so. And quite frankly, the oil has been one of these very strange commodities. It's not been a function of supply and demand of the commodity. It's been supply and demand of the money trying to get into the marketplace. The last time oil was above $100 a barrel was the day J.P. Morgan sold their commodity trading business. It has never seen that price since. So that gives you an idea of the kind of money flow that was going into that marketplace. There wasn't enough room for the capital going in, no less than that we now are in a situation where we don't have room for the oil we have. There's more oil on the top of the earth right now than since I've been alive, which I'm 55 years old. So that should tell you that oil has no business being at $100 a barrel. It had no business being at $60 a barrel. I truly believe that oil will see a $40 handle by the end of the year.
So you're thinking we're going to see $40 oil by the end of the year and then slowly start to creep up as we see Iranian oil hit the market?
Well, as the Iranian oil hits the market, actually it'll put more, I think that's where the pressure will come from on oil. Because what we're really looking at today, when you're talking about trading oil, is the front month contract. So you saw that bounce from the 51 handle, it's back at about $53 right now as we have this conversation. So that's a reaction to, wait a minute, it's not going to happen as fast as we want. But as the market starts to react, so the out contracts will start to see, which that's a whole nother trading method where the back contracts are less expensive than the forward contracts. So I think that's what you'll start to see happen as the Iranian oil starts to leak into the marketplace.
That was Africa 54 business correspondent Alexis Christoforous covering the market reaction to the Iran nuclear deal.